A race once dismissed by the entire galaxy stands on the edge of extinction. But instead of surrendering, they do the unthinkable. They unite and begin fighting for revenge. As their enemies' war machines prepare to annihilate them, something impossible happens. Can humanity turn the tide of war? Stay tuned to find out. Before continuing the story, tell me which city you're watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. When humanity was first recognized by the Galactic Council, little was expected of them. They had basic abilities, resilience to both heat and cold, and a decent power-to-weight ratio. The only thing that might have stood out was that they were one of the few non-apex predator species to rise to sentience, let alone reach the space age. However, despite these modest traits, humans were viewed as a species lacking honor. The death of even one of their leaders would trigger a bloody war of succession, dragging the entire society into chaos for years. In many ways, they were not the worst species in the galaxy, but they were certainly far from being the best. It was the Valaris, one of the first galactic races, who saw an opportunity to exploit humanity's weaknesses. And so, they waited. They bided their time, waiting for the inevitable spark that would ignite a war, engulfing the entire human race in flames. 27 years after humanity was recognized by the Galactic Council, the very spark the Valaris had waited for ignited. What followed was a raging inferno that consumed the entirety of human civilization. The images from the first week of the conflict still haunt him to this day. It was incomprehensible how a race could inflict such death upon its own people. There was no mercy, no honor, only the cold, ruthless calculation of slaughter. As humanity's internal conflict reached its twilight, the Valaris struck. Millions of Valaris troops and warships flooded into human-controlled territory. One by one, their planets fell, and in the millions, humanity perished. The rest of the galaxy turned its back. Humanity was on the brink of extinction, and no one was willing to get involved. Some even assisted the Valaris invasion, providing supplies and weapons in exchange for conquered human territories. Humanity was at the edge of extinction, but instead of fading quietly into oblivion, they did something utterly unexpected. They united. Years of hatred and animosity vanished in mere weeks. People who, just 3 months ago, were bent on slaughtering each other now greeted one another as brothers. The unstoppable advance of the Valaris ground to a halt. After conquering nearly 73% of human territory in 6 weeks, the Valaris could not advance even another light year after 8 months of relentless conflict. The Valaris had made a grave mistake. They had given humanity a common enemy. 2 years after the conflict between the Valaris and humanity began, the unthinkable started happening. The Valaris were being pushed back. The Valaris media claimed it was a strategic move to force massive human casualties. That might have been true. Humanity might have expended enormous resources to regain control over their territories. However, once recovered, they never relinquished them again. As explained to me by a colleague, the humans would, as they say, simply dig in. A crazy concept, just sitting on reconquered territory and letting the Valaris come to them. And come they did. The Valaris hammered the human defenses again and again. Yet just when it seemed the humans were content with the territory they had retaken, they launched massive counteroffensives, forcing the Valaris into yet another chaotic retreat. A truly insane tactic, yet it was proving to be a brutally effective method of warfare. The Valaris would never admit it, and perhaps never will, but they were losing. 6 years had now passed since the beginning of what had become the largest war in 500 years of galactic history. The Council had assumed that humanity would cease hostilities once all their conquered lands had been regained. The Council, of course, was wrong. Not only did humanity not stop hostilities once their territory was recaptured, it seemed as though humanity sought to eradicate the very threat to their existence. More than that, humanity wanted blood. They wanted revenge for the blood of humans that had been spilled at the hands of the Valaris, and nothing would stop them. In one of the most absurd twists of fate, the Valaris were now fighting for their very survival. In a state of panic, the Council called for emergency peace talks between the humans and the Valaris. To everyone's surprise, humanity agreed, and thus the first ceasefire since the outbreak of the war was implemented. Representatives from Valeris, humanity, and the 9-member races of the Council sat down for peace talks. The negotiations at first went well. Once again, humanity surprised everyone. They carried themselves with composure, speaking with reason and understanding to the Council races. However, they remained steadfast in their refusal to engage with the Valeris. Looking back, it may have been a sign of things to come. At the time, however, I found it understandable. As I was part of the diplomatic mission, I held out hope that an end to the conflict might be near. That was until the issue of reimbursement was raised by the Valeris, who as the conquered party had the right to demand financial compensation for any of their territories still held by human forces at the signing of the treaty. The entire human delegation fell silent when they first heard the Valeris ambassador mention it. After a few moments, one of their members finally spoke. "Please tell me this is some sort of joke to commemorate the start of peace," said the representative from Bangalore. "Of course not. It is their right to ask for this, and it is your duty to comply. Not doing so would be..." The Bangalore representative paused for a moment, as though struggling to find the words. "Incomprehensible." Once again, the human delegation fell silent. The leader of the human delegation stood up calmly and said, "You will have our answer within the hour." Without another word, he left the room, followed wordlessly by the entire human delegation. The council, relieved by the smoothness of the talks, sighed with comfort. It seemed that humanity was ready to back down, and so everyone waited for the humans to respond with an acceptance of peace. To the second, the council received a message from the humans an hour later. For several seconds, all they could see on the screen was the human leader sitting quietly, staring at them with an inscrutable expression. "Blasted human emotions," the representative from Bangalore muttered. "So damn hard to read. Computer, identify that emotion." The computer chimed, completing its analysis. "Emotion identified. Barely contained rage." The human leader spoke abruptly, cutting off the computer's analysis. "Dear council members," he said, turning to smile at the Valeris representative. "Member for Valeris, I regret to inform you that we cannot accept the terms for peace as they stand." There was an instant of silence, an eerie stillness that had not been felt since the talks began. Still smiling at the Valeris representative, the human leader continued, "However, we are willing to compromise." Just then, a Valeris soldier burst into the room shouting, "Sir, the human ships are on the move." The screen split into two parts. Half the screen showed the human leader, while the other half displayed the Valeris homeworld surrounded by the entire human armada. The Valeris representative gasped and turned to speak to the human leader. "What? How? When did you do this?" The human leader simply continued to smile. Without warning, the human armada opened fire. Within seconds, millennia of Valeris culture were reduced to ashes. Billions of innocents perished before they could even understand the horrors that were unfolding. One of the greatest empires in the galaxy had been wiped out in an instant. No one moved, no one spoke. Even the Valeris' grief was silent. The human leader spoke again, his voice devoid of emotion. "As you can see, we have decided to compromise. 16 billion of my fellow humans have died since the war began." The human leader continued. "I feel that trading 10 billion innocent Valeris lives for 16 billion innocent human lives is a more than fair compromise." Even I could feel the venom laced in the word compromise as the human leader continued. "As a species, we are now open to any peace negotiations." "Are you insane?" roared the Bangalore representative. "You've just declared war on the entire Galactic Council. Peace? This is as far from peace as anyone could possibly imagine. There will be no peace until your vile race is erased from the memories of my grandchildren." The human leader turned his still, smiling face toward the Bangalore representative. "Good." At this moment, he no longer tried to mask the fury burning in his eyes. "I was hoping you'd say that." 14 days had passed since the Valeris-human war had ended. There had been no peace treaty, no surrender, no ceasefire. One side had simply ceased to exist. 14 days had passed since the Galactic Council declared war on humanity. 4 races of the Council had defected, all of them disgraced by the Council's initial inaction. their failure to intervene and prevent the loss of human lives in the early stages of the Valaris-human war. All four defecting races had voted to stop Valaris when they first showed interest in humanity, but were bullied into inaction by Bangalore. It was unimaginable that four races had defected from the council. But then again, this was the first time in 570 years that the council had been at war, and never before had it fought against itself. Humans, in just 34 years, had dismantled millennia of tradition, cooperation, and understanding. "Oi, mate," grinned my new friend sitting next to me, snapping me from my reverie. He was absent-mindedly picking his nails with a metallic close combat weapon. "Not having second thoughts about me, are you?" I grinned back. "Not on your life, my friend. This will be the first time in nearly 600 years that the Zarth have gone to war," I said, looking at my friend sitting beside me, my grin widening. No, my friend. On the contrary. It's been far too long," he laughed heartily. "Just stay alive long enough, and I'll show you how to cook the perfect steak." I shook my head at him. Humans, truly insane. If you love thrilling and unpredictable stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to explore the next exciting adventure. Thank you for watching.